Ever noticed how the strongest men you know are quietly drowning? The guy at the gym with the perfect physique who can't sleep at night? Your successful colleague who drinks too much when no one's watching? That friend who has it all together but hasn't felt truly alive in years? Something is happening to men today that we're not talking about nearly enough. A psychological unraveling that's happening behind closed doors, behind brave faces, behind the masks of competence men wear every single day. And if you're watching this, chances are you've felt it too, that disconnect between who you're supposed to be and who you actually are, when no one's looking. Here's what no one tells you. The modern male mind wasn't designed for the world we've built. And the collision between your evolutionary wiring and today's reality is creating a perfect storm that's breaking men in ways we're only beginning to understand. I'm not here to feed you comfortable lies or easy solutions. What I am going to do is pull back the curtain on what's actually happening inside the male psyche right now, and why so many men feel like they're losing their minds in slow motion. When was the last time you felt truly at peace in your own skin? When did you last feel that rock-solid confidence that comes not from validation but from knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for? If you're struggling to answer, you're far from alone. Let's get real about what's happening to men today, and more importantly, what you can do about it. The modern male mind is caught in an impossible trap. You're expected to be vulnerable but not weak, confident but not arrogant, ambitious but not workaholic, emotionally available but not needy, strong but not toxic, and successful but not materialistic. It's like being asked to navigate a minefield while juggling flaming torches, and the instructions keep changing every few years. Remember when you were a kid and the rules of a game were simple? Win or lose, but know the rules. Today's man faces a game where the finish line keeps moving. The rules are contradictory, and no matter how well you play, someone's always ready to tell you, you're doing it wrong. How exhausting is it to wake up every day and put on that mask of competence when inside, you're not even sure what game you're supposed to be playing anymore? The truth is, most men today are living with a kind of psychological homelessness. The traditional role of men has been dismantled, much of it for good reason. But have you noticed, we never quite got around to building something coherent to replace it? This isn't about wanting to return to some mythical golden age of masculinity. This is about acknowledging that human beings need clarity about their role and purpose. And right now that clarity is exactly what's missing for millions of men. Think about this. For most of human history, boys became men through clear rites of passage, initiatory experiences that marked a definitive transition from childhood to adulthood. These weren't just ceremonies, they were psychological technologies that gave men an unshakable confidence in their identity. Where are those rites of passage today? Getting your driver's license, your first legal drink, moving out of your parents' house? None of these experiences are designed to transform a boy into a man on the level of identity and purpose. They're just things that happen. And here's something even more profound that's reshaping the male psyche. In the last few years, close to 60% of marriages have ended in divorce. Think about what that means. An entire generation of young men raised primarily by women. Kindergartens and elementary schools staffed almost exclusively by female teachers. Boys growing up without consistent male reference points or examples. Let me be clear, this isn't about diminishing the incredible job many single mothers do, but a woman playing a man's role, no matter how admirably, will never be a man. She can't model masculine emotional regulation, conflict resolution, or identity formation in the way that a present, engaged father figure can. How can you learn to be a man when you've rarely seen one up close? How do you internalize healthy masculine traits when your only examples come from movies, video games, or brief weekend visits? Is it any wonder so many young men feel like they're playing a role they were never properly taught? So, we have generations of men who never experienced that critical psychological threshold crossing, men who are still, kinda unconsciously, waiting for someone to tell them, now you are a man. That waiting creates a vulnerability that our culture is all too happy to exploit. Buy this car to feel powerful, use this cologne to feel desirable, achieve this status to feel valuable. It's a hamster wheel of external validation that honestly, never quite satisfies the deeper need. When was the last time you measured your worth by something other than what you could achieve, provide, or produce? When did you last feel inherently valuable, not for what you could do, but simply for who you are? If that question makes you uncomfortable, it should. Because it points to another critical element of the collapsing male psyche. The crushing weight of performance-based identity. Most men today live with an unspoken equation in their minds. I am what I do, I am what I achieve, I am what I provide. My worth as a human being is directly proportional to my utility to others. Did you know that when men retire, their risk of depression increases by 40%? Or that men who lose their jobs are twice as likely to consider suicide compared to women in the same situation? This isn't because men are inherently more fragile. It's because many men have never been taught to separate their identity from their function. And in a world where economic uncertainty is, kind of the new normal, where traditional male-dominated industries are just vanishing, and where the very idea of career stability almost feels quaint, tying your entire sense of self to what you can produce or provide is honestly a psychological time bomb. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Men are facing a connection crisis that's quite literally killing them. Did you know that the average man over 30 has significantly fewer close friends than women of the same age, or that 1 in 5 men report having no close friends at all? We're seeing the death of male friendship in real time. And not just the superficial let's grab a beer kind of socializing, but those deep, vulnerable connections that actually sustain mental health. For most of human history, men operated in tight-knit tribal groups. They hunted together, built together, protected each other. There was a kind of unspoken understanding that emerged from shared purpose and cooperative challenge. Today, most men are psychological islands. They may have 500 Facebook friends but no one they could call at 3 a.m. when life falls apart. They're surrounded by people but profoundly alone in their struggles. And this isolation isn't just uncomfortable, it's deadly. Loneliness increases mortality risk by 26%. That makes it more dangerous than obesity and as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. When was the last time you told another man exactly what you were struggling with, without minimizing it or turning it into a joke? When did you last allow yourself to be truly seen, not as the man you pretend to be, but as the complicated, sometimes confused human being you actually are? If these questions make you squirm, you're feeling the edge of the problem. Men today are starving for authentic connection, while simultaneously being terrified of the vulnerability required to create it. Now let's talk about something that few people want to acknowledge: the crisis of meaning that's haunting modern men. For most of human history, men lived with clear external threats: predators, harsh environments, enemy tribes. There was an obvious role: protect the tribe, provide for the family. The meaning came built in with the challenge. But today, the threats are abstract. Economic forces you can't fight with your hands, systemic problems too complex for individual heroism, environmental crises that can't be solved through physical courage. Meanwhile, traditional religious frameworks that once provided ready-made meaning have lost their grip on many men's lives, leaving a vacuum that consumer culture is all too happy to fill with hollow substitutes. Is it any wonder that so many men are drawn to extreme ideologies, physical challenges, or artificial conflicts? They're desperate for something clear to push against, something that makes them feel alive and necessary in a world that increasingly suggests they're neither. Did you know that participants in extreme sports like ultramarathons report that the primary benefit isn't the physical achievement, but the clarity of purpose they experience? For those hours or days, the noise of modern life falls away. There's just you and the mountain, you and the road, you and a clear, undeniable purpose. How telling is it that men will voluntarily suffer to experience what their ancestors took for granted: a clear and meaningful role. Here's where I'm supposed to offer you 3 easy steps to fix everything I've just described. But I respect you too much for that kind of simplistic thinking. The collapse of the male psyche isn't happening because of one simple factor, and it won't be reversed with a few life hacks. What I can offer you is this: an understanding that what you're experiencing isn't a personal failure, but a systemic challenge. And 2 powerful mindset shifts that can begin to create solid ground under your feet. First, recognize that your worth is not contingent on your utility. You are not what you produce, provide, or achieve. Those things matter, but they are expressions of who you are, not the foundation of your value. This isn't some feel-good platitude. It's actually a psychological necessity if you want to survive in a world where external markers of success are, honestly, increasingly unstable. Try this. For 1 week, just notice every time you judge yourself based on performance or productivity. Just notice it without criticism. Then ask yourself, would I judge someone I love by this same standard? The gap between how you judge yourself and how you judge others, well, it reveals the distortion in your thinking. So, second, it's really important to understand that connection is not a luxury. It's actually as essential as food and water for your psychological survival. And, meaningful connection requires vulnerability. There's just no way around this reality. You simply cannot be truly known while maintaining a perfect facade. Here's something you can try today. Identify one person you trust, and tell them one thing you're currently struggling with, and do it without minimizing it or turning it into a joke at the end. Just state it plainly, and see what happens. This isn't about oversharing or emotional dumping, it's really about practicing the skill of authentic connection. The path forward for men isn't about reclaiming some mythical past version of masculinity. It's actually about creating a new integration that honors the strength, courage, and capacity for sacrifice that have always defined the best of manhood, while also embracing the emotional intelligence, flexibility, and relational skills needed for today's world. The men who will thrive in the coming decades won't be those who cling most desperately to outdated ideals, nor those who abandon all boundaries in an attempt to be whatever others want. It will be those who can stand firmly in their own values while remaining open to growth and connection. If you've resonated with anything I've shared today, you're already taking the first step. Recognizing that what you're experiencing isn't just your personal struggle, but part of a larger pattern affecting millions of men. There's power in that recognition. Power that can be the foundation for real change. This channel is dedicated to understanding the complex psychological patterns that shape our lives, and providing the tools to rewrite those patterns. If you're ready to dive deeper into mastering your own psychology, hit subscribe and join our community of people committed to genuine transformation. Remember, the strongest men aren't those who feel no pain, they're the ones who acknowledge their struggles and keep moving forward anyway. That includes you, especially on the days when you don't believe it.